Hello everyone and welcome back. I should say welcome back to INDR 12. Today we are going to look at unit 14 for our class. We're looking at a review of some of the material we have already seen. We're going to look at some new stuff as well, but we're going to be looking at what specifically do you need before you actually start working on a particular project, setting up your drawing. So we're going to talk about units, quick review of units, limits, layers, text styles, making a copy of your drawing, etc. And then we're going to have additional material that we have not seen. We're going to talk about grouping different items. We're going to talk about something called tool palettes. We're going to talk about the design center, copying between different files, not just inside one single drawing, but between different files. So there's a few things that we're going to cover as well. Most likely we're probably going to have at least 2 videos, maybe 3, depending on how the material gets covered. But let's begin with the most basic stuff. When you open AutoCAD, this is what you get. This is our working area that we typically get right here. So the first thing we need to do is we will set up our units, then our limits. We'll create some layers. We will create some text styles. And once we do that, there's a few other things that you need to set up. Status bar, which parts of the status bar you want to have present right here, such as your object snaps, your snap mode, your grid, all those things. But many of those are optional. They help you to be more efficient on your work. As you can see right here, you'll be able to set up any of these and be able to see them under your status bar right here. Activate them on and off. Remember that if they're blue, that means they're active. If they are grayed out, then they're not active. They show up right here, but they're not active. So we have done that. We have worked with this. But for the drawing itself, when you're gonna begin a new drawing, the first thing we need to do when we open this, we're gonna type units, and we're gonna go set up our units. Remember, there are 5 different types of units: architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional, and scientific. Out of these 5 different options, only engineering and architectural allow you to input your information in feet and inches. Okay, the other ones are going to be unitless, which means you simply, if you want 5 units, then you type 5. Let's say 5 inches, you type 5. If you need half of an inch, then you type 0.5. But then you have fractional, you have scientific. Architectural and engineering allow you to input 5 feet, 5 inches, 10 feet, 3.5 inches, and so forth. So you're going to select your units depending on your needs. For today's exercise, we are going to need the architectural, so we'll select that one, and right here it will allow you to have your different angles as well. So you have decimal degrees, which is what we have been using so far with our decimal option right here. That's what you have been using so far. Okay, so you will select whatever type of units when you are actually working on your exercises. When you come to the real world, then you will know exactly what you would need, then you select that. For this one, we're gonna select degrees, minutes, and seconds. For your architectural, this is your precision. Remember, this is how precise you're going to be when you input your information. So we're going to have 1/16, and this is always in inches. So if you need feet and inches, you have to specify. If not, it will always recognize your measurements as inches. So make sure that you understand that part. Then we simply said okay. Then we're gonna go and set up our limits. So again, we simply type, you can see that it shows up right there. So limits, the first option for our limits is gonna be specify lower left corner unless otherwise, but typically you're gonna have your 0,0, your origin as your reference. So you simply hit enter to acknowledge that. for our exercise today, you're gonna have the upper right corner at 68 feet, comma 44 feet, which means you're gonna be working with a bigger space because we're looking at an architectural drawing and you're gonna be printing at a different scale other than 1=1. So remember that our limits are basically kind of like a size of paper that you're going to be working on, whether it's 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 or 24 by 36, whatever the case happens to be. But in this case, because of the scale that we're going to be printing, that you would be printing, then our upper right corner is going to be 68, and I have to specify feet. You can see right here, 68 feet, comma 44 feet. So I have to give it the feet symbol, otherwise it will not recognize it. And I hit enter, and there it is. So I have my enter, and I'm done. Then after I do my units and my limits, then I will go to my layer properties, set up layers that I would need right here. So you're gonna have for your exercise furniture, border, doors, text, walls. So I have doors right here, and I'm gonna make another one, and I'm just gonna call that one walls. I'm gonna hit enter, and I'm going to go and select my color. You will have some there's white, so you will have your options. So I select a color right here. Most likely it's going to be a continuous, and it's going to be a 0.5 or 0.7 or 0.9 on your line weight. So I'm going to do a 0.5 right here. Okay, and once I set up all of my layers right here, then I simply go and close right here. So now I will go under my layers tab right here, and I will look and say, okay, there is a number of layers that I have created right here. So you will see if you have all the ones that you need, and if you don't, then you simply go back again to layer properties and add or create the new layers that you will need. Once you do that, then you will go again to annotate and create your text styles, because you want to have those set up before you start working. So remember that we can go here, we can say new, and we can say I'm gonna need whatever that case happens to be. You give it a name, text 02, and I hit OK. And I want to make sure that when I create a new text style, I go and assign the proper text font right here. Okay, so this is the text style, this is the font that you're going to assign to that. So like we said in that exercise, we have to associate one with the other. So you may use the font name for your text style. You may have a different name, and just make sure that you assign the proper one. You will create as many as you need right here, and then you simply say, okay, that's what I need. You do your settings here. We said that the height typically is going to be left out at 0, and when you actually go and type something, then you will assign the correct height. Any of the other effects right here, if you need them, you add them. If not, you simply leave it as is, and you said apply and close, and then you will have all of the things that you need right here. Okay, so let's say that I simply go and create something. Okay, so I'm gonna do a circle right here, and let's just say that I was just drawing something, and there was actually a drawing. So I just go and I said, okay, this is what I have, and I'm done. So remember that you have to save constantly, otherwise you may lose a lot of time and a lot of work that you put into your drawing. But once you do this, then if you say, okay, give it a name, but then I want this, but I want to make a copy out of this one. I don't want to start all over again because I know I will need all of these settings that I have already created. Then I can simply go and say, well, let me then make a copy out of this one. The first thing, of course, I'm gonna have to go save right here, and I'm gonna give it a name. So I'm gonna go first find a location. So I'm gonna put it under my specific folder that I want. So I'm gonna find my BC Spring 2020, and I'm gonna give it a name, Unit 1401. Okay, so Unit 1401, and I can say save right here. So I have that, and once I have my drawing, and I say, you know what, I am done, this is what I need. Now I need to go and make a copy out of this one so that I can continue on a second project or whatever the case happens to be, because I already have all of my settings. Remember, what we can do right here then, instead of doing a regular save, we can always go and save as. So we click on that. That makes a copy of my drawing, my current drawing, with all of its units, all of its settings, and I simply go and I can say, okay, and this will be my Unit 1402, and then I say save. So that gives me a copy. So now you will see that I have a drawing, original one, and then I have a second one. How do I know that? Because I can go to my top right here, the top of my screen, and I can see the name of my drawing. So now it says 02. I know that I am on the second drawing. Okay, so that this basically covers all of the information that we should know, everything that we should do before we actually start working on our exercises or assignments or jobs, whatever the case happens to be. There's going to be those things, those basic things that you must have before you begin your actual drawing. Okay, so you need your units, you need your limits, you need some layers, you need some text styles, you need to be able to save your drawing, save as, make a copy out of it. As I said earlier, you may need to have some of your objects right here activate, deactivate polar tracking, or your dynamic input, or any of those things that you will need right here. You may set up before you start working. That will just allow you to be a lot more efficient, to be the best that you can when you work with AutoCAD. Okay, so this concludes our first video, an introduction, a review of all the things that you need to set up before you begin your project. And once you do all this, then you are set to go. And so I will see you in the next video, and we're actually going to look at the material, the different functions that you're going to be using to complete Unit 14 assignment. Okay, I will see you on the next video.